Hi, I'm Chris Wong of Flair Woodworks, and for the past little while I've been on vacation in Phoenix, staying with Paul Marcel. I wanted to build something in the workshop, but it turns out he's fresh out of slabs, so I had to improvise. I dug through a scrap bin, and this is what I built. It's a box with a drawer, and it's got these spring-loaded pins up top here, which can be depressed and they jump back. And there's puzzle pieces that are glued onto the top of this piece here. Now the drawer is locked. The only way to open the drawer is to press the correct pins, and when they're pressed they disengage with the locking mechanism and the drawer can be pulled out. To solve this, to open the drawer, you need to put the puzzle pieces together on top of here, and they will depress the correct buttons and then the drawer will open. The puzzle pieces will cut on the scroll saw. When I make puzzles, I use a fine grade plywood which has no voids on the sides and an even grain pattern on the face. That makes it a little bit harder to put the puzzle together. There's a bit of grain that you can see, but not a whole lot of hints. They're also double-sided too. They can be this way and go together, or else maybe they're this way. So you're never sure which way is up. This puzzle has the added challenge of having no borders for one, so you're never sure if this knob here actually connects with another piece or if it just protrudes into no man's land. And then there's also the pieces on the board here that are attached to the top of the box, which you can't forget. You may be looking for the one that mates with this and it ends up being up here. I prefer to cut the pieces using the finest kerf scroll saw blade that I have, and with a reverse tooth pattern, which ensures a splinter-free cut both on the top and the bottom surface. The minimal kerf allows a tight fit between the two pieces. This is the first box I built with this style of a spring-type plunger lock, and the springs are stiff, so they can be pushed down without too much effort, but the puzzle piece, they're very light. They don't have enough weight to hold it down, so it makes it a little bit trickier to assemble on here. You could either assemble them on here, or maybe you could assemble them off the board and put them on later, but you have to remember these pieces here. Always look for distinct shapes like this piece here. However, with a borderless puzzle, you have to remember that that piece may not actually have a mating piece. So that's part of the challenge too. If you like puzzles, you should also check out my three-dimensional jigsaw puzzles, which have layered pieces. So one puzzle piece, what we normally think of a puzzle piece, may comprise of 2, 3, or 4 layers where they're interlocked, both horizontally and vertically. They need to be put together in the right sequence because many of the slots are tapered, so they can't be slid in from the other direction. This is, by the way, the first time I've actually assembled this puzzle. It's always difficult the first time. And then, once you've assembled it once or a few times, you get familiar with the shape of the pieces and you'll remember which ones go together. Especially with a hand-cut jigsaw puzzle, which has a lot of unique shapes, as opposed to your cardboard jigsaw puzzle you might buy at a store, which has a lot of very, very similar pieces. It does take a lot of patience to solve a jigsaw puzzle, but at the end, when you finish it, there is, I find, a great deal of satisfaction. I just love the challenge. It takes my mind off everything else. I can just focus on this one thing and work away until I'm done. And through repetition, doing it several times, you do become more familiar with the pieces, and your time to solve the puzzle will decrease. One of the jigsaw puzzles I made, Diamond Challenge. It's three-dimensional jigsaw puzzle with between 2 and 4 layers to the pieces. I've watched people sit there at the table and work on it for 6 hours, and I think the first time I solved it took me about 2 hours. I can now solve it in as little as 20 minutes. Very distinct shape here. But I also know that there may not actually be a piece that mates with it. I know those two go together. These two fit up here. I know that being the maker of the puzzle makes it easier, because I understand, I remember cutting all the pieces, I know how they go together. I also have somewhat of an idea the shape of the finished puzzle, which, give you a hint, it's not square. Even though the grain direction is subtle, you can tell generally whether it's oriented this way or this way. And once you get that figured out, you can align your pieces that way, so you know that they either go this way or this way in the puzzle. In the solid wood puzzles I make, you can also check the edge, whether it's end grain or edge grain. That's another hint. But with plywood puzzles, there's no difference, so all the edges look the same, so you just have to rely on the face grain and the shape of the pieces. Don't forget that if it doesn't seem to want to fit together, try flipping it over. That works sometimes. You see different shapes. And with the borderless puzzle, remember not to get too hung up on finding the one piece that goes with another piece, because it may not actually exist. For puzzles with a lot of pieces, I find it helpful to sort them out by how many knobs and how many sockets they have, and the orientation. So I might put these together. That'll help me when I have a piece that goes, say, in here. I can rule out which ones it might not be a little more quickly. A puzzle is really a challenge of organization skills as much as anything else. At least when you get to a larger puzzle. One more piece and it goes here. Okay. So there was in fact no piece here. There's also a missing piece here. And some of these pieces are just here to fool you, to mess with you. So again, don't focus too much on finding one piece that matches. So I've got the puzzle put together. If I press down on the pieces here, they will release the drawer. So this is the locking mechanism here. It's got a series of cutouts which align with half pins, which when slid up or down to the right engagement like a lock will release the locking mechanism. There's your drawer, there's your prize. To put it back in, you need to re-engage the locking pins. And there you have it. A couple notes on construction. The pins are just a hardwood, they're beech. In this case, it doesn't really matter what they are. They're round at the top where they come through the top, and the bottom is a square section which prevents it from rotating. Any rotation would disrupt the locking mechanism, wouldn't allow it to open. Round at the top, square at the lower section, and there's a spring from a ballpoint pen at the bottom that keeps them up. The top is just screwed with 4 Robertson screws. I did this for ease of alignment and ease of adjustment, and just to get the mechanism working right. I needed some way to attach the top to the base of the box without too much fuss, so I could take it off, put it back on without a whole lot of undue fuss. If I glued it, that'd be impossible. Same for the bottom. I screwed it on with screws here. These 2 screws hold the bottom alignment block, which houses the springs, the pen springs. Put dovetails in the corners here for fun. And of course I guess somewhat of a live edge front here. A little bit of cavity here for character. Puzzle piece for your drawer pull.